Hello everyone, my name is Isabel Barbosa-Rios and here's my video submission for the Kagle Leadership Initiative Mentoring Program. I'll start off by answering a couple questions. The first one is, how do you plan to manage a demanding caring schedule, a potentially stressful co-op, your personal life, and any leadership roles that you may have while still finding time to meet with your mentee for at least 12 hours per month and fulfill additional responsibilities that KLI may bring? So I should start off by saying how no matter what activity I do or have agreed to be doing in the future, I immediately write it down. That would be whether it's for in my planner, like this one right here, or if it's like an event that would be appropriate for me to attend, it goes onto my phone and into my Google Calendar, which then gives me a notification as well, and I can see like a brief overview. And another thing for specifically towards catering would have to be how I took the time to create like this spreadsheet, so everything's backwards. And so every week, any big assignment is outlined there. And so I know now how to like work ahead, and therefore that reduces my stress by a good, almost, I would say 90%, because everything's outlined and I take the time every like Sunday night in order for me to like reflect on what's going to go on in the week, in addition to how to prepare for classes and any events that I do have to attend. If any of these events do tend to like, if they conflict, then I take the opportunity to find a way to get substitutes if needed, or a way to like get back to them and see what I can do from like the outside and not have to be physically there. And therefore I'm really good at the whole follow-up if something does conflict with my schedule. The next question would be, what are some mentoring activities you would like to do with a mentee between the ages of 13 through 17? What is the significance of each activity? So first off, I would start by saying that one of my biggest passions would be to volunteer, and that could be whether in the city that I'm in, or a neighboring city, or within an organization, or schools, and overall, I love to volunteer. So I feel that with my mentee, I feel like one of the activities that could be done would be to go out and participate in one of these community service events, because I do feel that it is important to give back. And I've been doing this since I moved to the city where I came from, Island Parks, in the Downriver area, and that was in 7th grade. And so I immediately found my little area where I felt like I could make like the biggest impact while still being in school, and that would be volunteering like in neighboring schools and within the city. So that's one of the biggest things that I would love to do. Other activities, so it's not all work, I should say, would have to be uh, doing something more like art related. So it could be whether, if we stay in the Flint community area, it could be like the Flint Institute of Arts. We could go downtown and look at all the historic events. We could go to museums. In addition to, if we really like the whole art thing, we can do like the Detroit Institute of Arts, which I have never been, and that's kind of surprising because I have lived there for almost 12 years of my life. And so definitely those are one of the biggest things. Another one would be to like explore other cities, or even Flint as well. And that's just because when I was younger, I felt that I didn't really get out much outside of my city. The grocery store would probably be like the farthest I would go. So any opportunity that I had to like go somewhere else, I took it all in, and I became almost like a tourist, even to like the neighboring cities, just because I I love the fact that there's so much out there and the world is so big. So I feel like if I could give that to like a mentee, they would really appreciate it because it would make them more like open-minded and more aware of really their surroundings, which I feel like is really valuable in it of itself. Other things could be going to like the zoo, playing sports. I was a big basketball fan in high school. I guess I still am, but I played basketball. I did track and field on top of all my other responsibilities, and I can say that it was basically one of my highlights for sure because it wasn't all school and all work. And so that's why I feel like that would be a big one. Another one would have to be maybe like study sessions, of course. And so if they're like struggling in an area, I would love to help out. In high school, I participated or I made it my goal to work at the academic um, for success. And so this program was led by one of our vice principals, and she took incoming freshmen who weren't doing so well in school and brought them into this program. And just by doing that, my senior year, I learned that I can make a huge difference in just being there every day and or every week, I should say, that they met and help them out with their studies or just encourage them to do really well on a test or just giving them advice on how to be more organized and how to become more involved. So any of those activities I feel would be really cool to do with my mentee. Of course, I would also take into consideration what she would like to do. So maybe she's not so big on the arts. So then we can obviously find something else because with me, there's no problem since I love doing absolutely everything. And so those would definitely be some of the mentoring activities I would be considering. Then the next question is about how I feel about the Flint area community and also to describe my community service experience, any community ties I may have, and potential service projects that have personal meaning. Okay, so I love Flint. Honestly, I mentioned earlier that I am from Detroit originally, and I see a lot of similarities, and not any of the bad ones. It's just that I feel really comfortable here, and at home, I'll see the same type of cars that I would see back in Detroit, especially the sports cars or like the big muscle cars. That's probably um, in Detroit. That's where my love for cars grew really. So it just makes me really happy when I see that going down through Flint, and I love its history it has with GM, and so I'm really appreciative of being able to be here at Kettering in Flint because of how I can relate to it so easily. I volunteer in Flint every single Saturday. My school puts the service Saturdays, and so anyone can go out and just show up, sign up, and volunteer, which I think it's great. They get a lot of word out to the community itself. So, for example, last Saturday, I went out to help out clean up the city because the president was coming in town in order to address the water crisis. And so there were a couple of the Flint residents who came out to Kettering and just heard it because it was on TV that morning. So I feel like I'm the community is very appreciative of where they live and they genuinely want to help out. And so that's one of the reasons why I love these service Saturdays. Other things that I've done is actually through a service Saturday, not necessarily through the school, but like one of the clubs that I am in called Real Service. We did a park build right next to the food bank, and so if you take a look around in Flint, many of the parks are very not cared for, if that makes sense. They're not maintained at all. So being able to put in this brand new park and then seeing immediately how after it was all settled in, so many kids were out there playing, I feel like that made a huge difference into the Flint community. And I just see that it has just so much potential, and I am glad to be a part of that. And so in the future, hopefully I can get even further involved. Back in my city, I am part of the Festivities Commission, which basically we put together this, um, it's called the Allen Park Street Fair, and so many vendors come out. We have bands, we have a lot of food, and so this really brings the community together. So if I could get involved with something like that and do something like that in Flint, where we could do something not necessarily like the farmers market where they have all those vendors of food, but bring other people into the city, I feel like that would be like a great opportunity to participate in, but definitely something to think about and obviously to plan. So yeah, that's basically what I think about Flint and why I just love it here. So this has been my video submission for the KLI mentoring program, and hopefully you keep me in your considerations, and I hope to hear back from you. Thank you.